Aren't you sweet, sweet potato pie? This comes to us on page 105 of Sugar Butter Flour, the official Waitress pie book, under the section Custard and Cream Pies. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving in America, so I decided today to make Jenna's twist on sweet potato pie, a Thanksgiving staple and one of my personal favorites. However, I was raised on the variant of sweet potato pie where it's much more of a casserole topped with melted marshmallows to make it even more sweet because, well, we do things a bit differently here in the Midwest. Jenna's sweet potato pie is much more traditional, starting with pastry. Good morning, Mr. Pastry. How are you? Do you have any plans this Thanksgiving? Yeah, you like that, don't you? Welcome to the real world. It's gotta chill. Roll out another disc of pastry. Blip. Gonna be much more gentle with you. Gotta move things. It looks like somebody murdered Spain. That's what they get, those colonizing pigs. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Roll out the dough as thin as you can get it, and you're gonna cut out the dough into these cute, decorative autumn leaf shapes and place them on a parchment-lined plate. I even bought a leaf pastry cutter set for the occasion. Out of all of the leaves in this set, the maple leaf I thought was the most appropriate for the fall. Plus, it's going to be relevant to the rest of the recipe later. I think we're going to need a bigger plate. This is probably more like it. Perfection! Refrigerate these for at least 15 minutes to firm. Once everything is chilled, you are going to adhere the pastry leaves onto the edge of the pie shell with an egg wash, but only use just enough leaves to line the edge. The rest of the leaves you're going to set aside for topping the pie later. Partially blind bake the pie shell. In the meantime, we're going to start working on the filling. Boil 3 whole sweet potatoes, or however much gets you to 1.5 cups of sweet potato puree. Fire! And now we boil the sweet potatoes until soft. Be sure to check them with a sharp knife. On my end, the sweet potatoes took about 40 minutes to soften up. Drain the sweet potatoes and place them onto a paper towel-lined plate to cool, but just cool enough to handle. In the meantime, we're going to prepare the main pie ingredients. For the dry ingredients, we need 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of allspice, and kosher salt. Mix it up. Gotta get you smooth. We don't want any lumps. For the wet ingredients, we need 3 eggs. Beat, and then add in 3/4 cup each of 1/2 and pure maple syrup. See, I told you the maple leaves were relevant. Mix it up. At this point in the process, the sweet potatoes should be cool enough. We are going to peel the skin straight off of the sweet potatoes with our bare hands. This is why they need to be cool enough to handle. And place them into a large bowl. And now we're going to mash these by hand. Reason being, if you smoothed them out with a food processor or used an electric mixer, they're going to become too sticky. You still want them a bit fibrous. Now my mash looks pretty good, but if you find that yours is very liquidy, you could just pass the water through a fine mesh sieve. Now we're going to whisk in the wet ingredients. Mix, and the dry. Pour into the pie shell. Place the pastry leaves on some parchment on either side of the pie. Brush them with egg wash to make them look presentable. Start off by baking both of these at 325 for 20 minutes. Place the pastry leaves on the wire rack to cool, and then continue to bake the pie for an additional 40 minutes. Be sure to check it with a toothpick. Immediately, you're going to place the reserved pastry leaves on top to decorate it. While this cools, we're going to work on the whipped cream. Starting with 1 cup of chilled heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Now, the recipe recommends that you mix this with an electric mixer, but I'm going to mix it by hand because 2024 has been a rough year, and I need to blow off some steam. And stop. 15.5 minutes. And there you have it. Aren't you sweet, sweet potato pie? Serve it up with the whipped cream. Yum. This is just a regular old sweet potato pie. Nothing fancy. Though I will say that the pastry leaves were a pretty clever touch, because sweet potato pie in general is still pretty gummy, so having a little bit of extra pastry is actually a really good thing for getting a bit more of a textural variety as you take a bite of the pie. And it also serves as a nice contrast to last week's dish with the strawberry rhubarb cups. That recipe was super sweet, whereas this, even though it is still sweet, it still got that down to earth earth spicy quality that you would associate with fall and winter. And whether or not it is topped with marshmallows, it is guaranteed to be a hit at your Thanksgiving dinners, no matter how 2024 has turned out for us. Click the link in the description to get your own copy of Sugar Butter Flour, the official Waitress pie book, so that you too can make Aren't You Sweet sweet potato pie. Thank you so much for watching Waitress Wednesday today, and I will see you in the next one.